2, 1.
My neighbor's fifth cousin, twice removed gardener, heard from his dentist that Brett Kavanaugh convinced Ted Cruz's dad to murder JFK in the mid-1980s. And I can confirm that my neighbor is very credible. Another report, we're just getting this in right now, it's coming from a very credible source, Ronen Feinstein, that Count Bohuslav Chotek von Chotka und Vognin recalls seeing Brett Kavanaugh at Sarajevo in 1914. And of course, we are now calling for a full CIA investigation for this very credible evidence that Brett Kavanaugh may have started World War I. And in one final devastating report this morning, which I should add is very credible, allegations emerged that Brett Kavanaugh helped Flavius Odoacer overthrow the Emperor Romulus and topple the Western Roman Empire sometime in the mid-1980s. Ann Coulter will help us break down all of these allegations. Then, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein may or may not be fired today. Michael Moore's movie bombs. And because all nature is but art unknown to thee, the Supreme Court is founded on this day in history. I'm Michael Knowles, and this is The Michael Knowles Show. So much to cover. Who knew that the Western Roman Empire fell in the mid-1980s when Brett Kavanaugh was at Georgetown Prep School? Wow, that was the great crimes of history, all owed to Georgetown Prep and Yale. We'll get to the Yale of it all and why everyone seems to be getting naked at Yale. Before we do that, speaking of getting naked, Purple Mattress, baby. You know how much I love Purple Mattress. Come into my boudoir. Come into my boudoir before Ronan Farrow ruins my career because of something I did in 1982. I love Purple Mattress. You know this. I actually do have trouble sleeping at night. I've always gotten nice mattresses, the spring mattress or the memory foam, whatever. But I still wake up with crooks and my back hurts and my neck hurts. Purple Mattress is categorically different and better than other mattresses. This is because it uses a brand new material that was developed by an actual rocket scientist. You know me, I'm a man of simple tastes. I'm easily satisfied by the best. This is the best. It's both firm and soft at the same time. That sounds impossible, but it's not with Purple Mattress. It also sleeps really cool. As a man of Sicilian descent, I can get a little moist, a little oily in the night, and this really helps. So it's zero gravity, 100-night risk-free trial. If you're not satisfied, return it for a full refund. 10-year warranty, free shipping and returns, free in-home setup, and old mattress removal. They might as well give you a back massage while they're at it. You're going to love Purple. Right now, my listeners get a free Purple pillow with the purchase of a mattress. That's in addition to other great free gifts on the website. Go to purple.com, use promo code COFEFE, C-O-V-F-E-F-E, purple.com, promo code COFEFE, C-O-V-F-E-F-E. The only way to get the free pillow and to bother Ben is to go to use my promo code COFEFE, C-O-V-F-E-F-E at checkout, purple.com, promo code COFEFE. Okay, I want to tell you, in this whole storm cloud of the Brett Kavanaugh allegations, in all of it's such hackery, it's such an abuse of the public trust, it's such an abuse of an important institution. All in the midst of all of that storm cloud, there is a silver lining, which is that apparently Brett Kavanaugh has cured Alzheimer's disease. And that's a wonderful thing. That's a march forward for science and a great move for our government, because memories that had been repressed, not for just a couple weeks or a few months or years, decades, many decades in some cases. They are being dredged up now all of a sudden by that little smile on Brett Kavanaugh's face, by the thought that we're going to have a Supreme Court justice who reads the Constitution and interprets it to mean what it actually means. You've probably read about the allegations. They are insane. I might look a little tired today because they broke last night and I was up until 2:30 in the morning reading through this insanity. So let's begin with the least insane allegations, which also are totally baseless. Ronan Farrow dredged up this woman from Yale, Deborah Ramirez. By the way, I log into Twitter last night and I see Yale is trending. And I've known since 2015 when that shrieking girl humiliated that entire university. And whenever I see Yale trending, it's not a good thing. It's not. I opened it up. I said, oh, here we go. The allegation is that Brett Kavanaugh was at a party in Lawrence Hall on Yale's old campus when he was a freshman, and everybody was drinking, and the allegation, it's not even really quite being made, because even the woman who's accusing Brett Kavanaugh says she's not sure if it happened, but the allegation is that he unzipped his pants, whipped out, Brett Jr., and they all laughed about it, but no one really remembers because everyone was drunk, including the woman who's accusing him. And I tell you, I've been to a lot of parties in Lawrence Hall and Old Campus, and I freshman year and even later, and of all the parties that I was ever at on Yale's Old Campus, never once did a federal judge expose himself to me. So that's evidence on the other side of that. That's evidence at least as weighty as the Deborah Ramirez almost allegations. So, by the way, the reason I'm using language carefully here is she doesn't know what happened. She goes, I don't really know. I don't really know what happened. So the New Yorker could not find one eyewitness to corroborate this story. There was a woman that Ramirez says was at the party, who then they reached out, and the woman said, no, I wasn't at that party. I have no memory of that. Ramirez, even today, even after she's made this allegation, has said she's not sure if it's him. Ramirez's best friend, freshman year and throughout her time at Yale, has said she never heard anything about it. Ramirez is a registered Democrat. She's a left-wing activist. Doesn't prove anything per se, but it does add a lot of context. Also, Ramirez admits that she was totally hammered at this party. And by the way, as someone who has been to a lot of Yale parties, I'll say, people do drink a ton there. It is free-flowing all over campus. But she says she doesn't really remember what happened. And her other friend says she never mentioned it once until now. As for the allegation itself, again, a lot of people are saying this never happened. There's no way this ever happened. I will say, Yale does have a lot of nudity going on. They do. There's streaking. There are naked parties. There is a lot of nudity here. But you've got to remember, no one brought up any allegation like this until 5 minutes ago. Until 5 minutes ago. It's not like Brett Kavanaugh was some unknown entity. He became a somewhat public figure during the Ken Starr investigation. He was working under Ken Starr to investigate Bill Clinton. He then was working in the Bush administration in a pretty front-facing role. He then became a federal judge in 2006. He's been up on Supreme Court lists for a while, and none of this came out anywhere until not only the 11th hour of the confirmation hearing this time, but until after the Christine Ford allegations started to fizzle. This came out of nowhere, so it's just really hard to believe. Now, the story comes from Ronan Farrow and Jane Meyer, who wrote this piece in The New Yorker. Look, Ronan Farrow has done good work before, but this one is really sad. This is really tarnishing his credibility. And here's Jane Meyer describing all her great evidence that she's got on CBS.
Jane, the corroborating witness, which you says has all the details, including Kavanaugh's name, where did that witness come from, and where did that witness get the information about this from, if that person doesn't know Ramirez?
He remembers it from he was in the same dorm, same little building on Yale's old campus, and he remembers it clearly. I asked him, of course, we're going to be very careful. No, as I've said, he heard it from someone who was there, and as I've said, we interviewed him, and I said to him, "Are you sure that it was Brett Kavanaugh?" He said, "I am 100% sure."
But as you admit, he was not at the party. Jane?
Was he there? Well, no, he wasn't there. I told you he wasn't there. But he lived nearby or something. Okay. Did he? No, and actually, Jane Meyer's defense here for her she called him a corroborating witness. Oh, was he a witness though? No, he wasn't a witness. Okay, and he isn't corroborating anything. She said, yeah, well, okay, he didn't see it and he can't attest to it, but he heard about it from some guy who knew a guy or this or that. But let me tell you, I'm such a good journalist. I asked him, I said, "Are you sure? And he said he's sure. So look, don't knock me. I'm a journalist. I asked him, "Are you sure?" He said he's sure. That's journalism today in the Me Too movement. Really sad, because Ronan Farrow has done great work before, but this is so pathetic. This is so pathetic that other news outlets turned it down. The New York Times turned this story down. NBC turned this story down. Even the Washington Post, which has zero standards left, even they turned it down. Why? Because this isn't a news story. This is not responsible journalism. This is reckless. This is a smear. You could do this about anybody. You could say this about anybody. So that's just the first allegation. That's just the first one. How do we know that this one is not credible? Because of everything about it. If the New York Times is going to turn it down, if the Washington Post is going to turn down an opportunity to attack President Trump's nominee and President Trump, it ain't worth it. But then enters Michael Avenatti, the creepy porn lawyer, to borrow Tucker Carlson's phrase. He's that guy, he's that blowhard who goes on television and uses the hashtag word basta, which is an Italian word that means enough. And I'm taking bets on whether Michael Avenatti speaks more than one word of Italian. I suspect he does not. But he's this big, and so Michael Avenatti is now alleging, not that Brett Kavanaugh whipped it out freshman year at a drunk party. He's accusing Brett Kavanaugh of running a gang rape circle in DC in the 80s or something. He's alleging that Brett Kavanaugh is this like secret Don pimp gangster who was running apparently a brothel for men to go in and abuse women. That is not an exaggeration. He's sent emails. He's making this allegation publicly. So how do we know that that story is false? Well, because Michael Avenatti is saying it. That if Michael Avenatti told me that 2 + 2 = 4, I would deny mathematical reality because that guy has zero honesty, zero credibility, and zero integrity. How do we know that the gang rape thing is not true? It's because it's facially absurd. It's absurd on its face. But the other reason that we know that all of these are not credible allegations is the timing. So if the Democrats had the Christine Ford allegation as early as late July, and now they've had this allegation for 5 minutes, and it only came out after the Christine Ford thing fizzled. But even the Christine Ford allegation, why are we only getting that now? Why didn't we get that in July? Because in July, the Democrats, when they were trying to target Kavanaugh, they came out and said that he bought baseball tickets for his friends on his credit card, and then he paid his credit card bills off over time. Those were the big scandals that they were going to get Brett Kavanaugh on. He has friends and likes America's pastime and pays his bills. He even bought some apple pies on that credit card and then paid it off on time. So that was their first attack, if they really took this seriously. Right now, trending on Twitter is the phrase, believe survivors, believe women. And by the way, we'll get to in a little bit why due process is a much more important hashtag than believe survivors. But we'll get to that later on in the show after we talk to Ann Coulter, who has a typically colorful take on all of this. But you know, if they really believed this, if they really thought Christine Ford was a serious, credible witness, if they really believed that Brett Kavanaugh whipped it out at a party freshman year in Lawrence Hall on Old Campus, if they really believed that he were running some kind of criminal gang rape brothel enterprise, as Michael Avenatti, the least serious person in America, is now alleging, if they really believed that, they would have brought it up at the time, but they didn't. They thought they could take him down on baseball tickets and credit cards. And then they thought this, and then this. It's just a methodical hack attack. Before we explain why it is so important to defend Brett Kavanaugh, why this is a truly world historical moment, a turning point moment, at least for the Republican Party, let's bring on Ann Coulter to get her perspective. She brought up a great article the other day. You know, I read her column every week, and she said that Haven Monahan was going to testify at the Kavanaugh hearings. And for those who don't remember, Haven Monahan was the figure in the gang rape case allegedly at UVA that Rolling Stone reported on. And the only trouble is Haven Monahan was a totally fictitious character invented by the accuser who made up the whole story. So that was her take there. I spoke to Ann a couple days ago. Let's turn to that and see what she had to say. Ann, thank you for being here.
Good to be here, Michael.
So, Ann, you've got a lot of explaining to do because you were early on a supporter of Brett Kavanaugh. I always take your advice. I always follow your lead. And now we have found out.
So does the president.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I try to follow his lead too, but we'll get to that in a second. But now we found out, Ann, that Brett Kavanaugh is actually secretly a super duper convicted rapist. How do you answer for yourself?
No, I totally love this. The only, I mean, obviously he didn't do it. She's a deranged lunatic. But even what she is alleging, what she's actually alleging is some guy, let's say Brett, drunkenly groped her in high school. Everything else is, as usual with feminists, a product of her imagination. I thought he might inadvertently kill me. I thought it was going to be an attempted rape. Well, okay, you could think he was going to turn into Bigfoot, but that's in your head.
It is quite a leap.
What actually happened.
It's quite a leap from the groping to the attempted manslaughter. That was, I don't know where that happened.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, and I suspect, being most charitable to her, I mean, I've noticed this a lot. Public figures, people's memories are not as good as they imagine them to be, and the more they think they have a great memory, the worse it is. I apparently dated every boy on North Campus at Cornell. You can't believe how many people it has come back to me that I dated.
Not me, Ann. I keep
even
telling people that you and I dated, but nobody believes me. It's very frustrating.
And I don't think they're like bragging. I think their memories get confused because I've had, at least in one case, a guy say this directly to me on the street, and I never dated him, Michael.
Wow.
And other stories come back to me. An argument I allegedly had that was, and I was being portrayed perfectly favorably. Oh, it was so funny. She got in an argument with Yale Camisar at Yale Law School. I never took a class with Yale Camisar. I'm glad you have that fond memory of me being so clever and witty, but it wasn't me. So this happens a lot where people, I think in people's memories, they superimpose some public figure whom they knew at an earlier time on some other memory.
Mm-hmm.
So when Kavanaugh came back emphatically saying, I was not at that party, this did not happen.
Right.
That's kind of a ballsy thing to do. Instead of saying the way you and I began this conversation, oh, give me a break. 17-year-old gets drunk and gropes a girl.
Yeah, first time ever. Unprecedented.
Please present another girl who isn't an hysterical feminist, whom A, that hasn't happened to, and B, actually cares or even remembers it. But he didn't say that. He didn't say I was 17, I'm a different man. And in general, when you're accused of something, I think it's much better to say, yes, I did it, but it was consensual, and not I was never in Cleveland, because if anybody saw you in Cleveland, you're screwed. He came back emphatically saying, I was never in Cleveland. I think that pushed her back on her heels, much like the boy who came up to me on the street and claimed he dated me. And I said, no, you didn't. I think it sort of shocks them when you're emphatic that way, and they think to themselves, oh my gosh, did I get this wrong? Was this somebody else? That's what happened. But her handlers and her lawyers, so she's saying, I got it wrong, I can't testify. They're saying, shut up, we'll handle this.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's why we keep getting these endless BS offers about, the terms under which she will testify.
And it's Monday or it's Thursday, and the FBI, the CIA is going to be there. How is this going to end? Because I think some Republicans, some squishy people are saying, oh, well, we can move on. We can get another nominee if we have to. He's compromised. We can't do it. I mean, it is this or nothing.
Yes. No, that would be very bad. That means that I do not think the founding fathers, when they wrote the Constitution, were just in so much of a rush. They forgot to include the part in the advice and consent clause where random psychology professors at Palo Alto get a veto.
You missed that? You didn't read that part of the Federalist Papers?
Republicans can't do that.
Yeah. No, if they get this guy, if they say that, okay, because of a 36-year-old allegation, what are we going to get? What judge could we ever get through? What studious, unimpeachable white guy will ever be able to hold office again?
No, it will be fair game on white men in any walk of life. Don't worry, no allegations necessary. Or rather, no evidence, no corroboration, no even really believability to the story. I mean, she doesn't remember what year it happened. She doesn't remember where it happened. I love this idea. Yes, but she wants an investigation. What on earth would an investigation look like here? We'll just go around to every house in Montgomery County. Were you ever at something resembling a party?
Yeah. Did you ever have a party in this house? Did you ever see a sort of preppy-looking white boy teenager running around the greater D.C. area? Did you? Now, I want to move on, because I know we've only got a little bit of time, because I read your column religiously, and you have been reminding all of us. Yeah, you've been reminding all of us that we don't have a wall yet. Where is this wall?
Yes.
Where is my wall?
That. You see, this is why this is part of the reason I wrote Resistance is Futile. I'm trying to direct the left to a much better attack on the president because, every third day I want to fly to Washington, track down the president, and hold his head underwater until the bubbles stop. And then the resistance brings me back. They launch some utterly unprovoked, unfair attack. They run off on their demented international Russian conspiracy theory. Yes, this bumbling buffoon staged the most massive international conspiracy.
Is
in
Boris
world
and
history
Natasha
and
rolled
stole
into
a
one?
presidential election. Pardon?
He's Boris and Natasha all rolled up into one.
Yes,
That's right.
Yes, exactly. And so, or the Kavanaugh stuff. They drive me back into his arms when I'm really kind of mad at him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there are many weird aspects to the resistance, a military term that if Trump had used had he lost to Hillary, oh my gosh, it would have been a dog whistle to the KKK. That's
Right.
a military term. He's activating the militias. And in fact, Trump voters and supporters have been subjected to massive physical violence by Antifa. And I mean, we are witnessing a fascist uprising. Man, if the shoe were on the other foot, I think we might notice that. But if the resistance, one of the unfortunate things I think we're seeing it with Kavanaugh, with the resistance is, I mean, they've given up all kinds of principles that they've held for decades and decades and decades, like, the Russians love their children too. No, that was only applicable when during Stalinist show trials. Now that they're just an ordinarily corrupt government.
That's right. When they were going to blow up the world, that was a different matter, yeah.
Exactly. But one of them is, I mean, it used to be it wasn't just me talking about illegal immigrants driving down the working class's wage, screwing over America. I mean, it used to be Jesse Jackson standing at the border demanding an end to illegal immigration. It used to be Harry Reid on the Senate floor saying the concept of anchor babies is insane. It used to be Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer, amazingly enough, defending the Border Patrol for whacking illegals running across the border. So, I mean, it may have happened in the Democratic Party anyway. They were kind of going in the direction of not caring about the working class or flyover people and just screw it. We've got the actresses, we've got Wall Street, and we've got the identity politics types and the immigrants. But it would be really helpful if both parties could get together and care about the people who already live here. And if the resistance would read my book, they would see the way to go after Trump is to attack him for not fulfilling his promises, to say, look, we actually do care about the working class. But no, we can't do that because if Trump is for it, they're against it.
That's right. And
that's their philosophy.
Your books, it's amazing that your opponents don't read your books because the books, they always have colorful titles and they include incredible insight. Resistance is Futile, obviously. Adios America has so much on immigration. E Pluribus Awesome, In Trump We Trust, gave a great argument that Trump was elected because of policy. The left thinks he was elected because he's a mean guy and he tweets things. On that point, do you see going into the midterms, looking at 2020, how is it looking? How is it looking for the left? Are they going to understand this lesson? Or are they going to change their ways? Are they going to make a case to the American people? Or are we still safe because of the policy preferences of the American people?
I think Trump is it's weird. I think he tends to be safe for re-election. I'm not sure about the midterms. The history suggests there will be a blue wave. Trump hasn't built the wall, and I may be the only one getting snippy with him on Twitter, but I was just at a fair conference in Washington and ran into a lot of sheriffs and a lot of angel moms, and they were thanking me for my snippy tweets. I mean, a lot of his base really is demoralized.
I thank you too, Ann.
Thank you. I mean specifically on the wall. They want the wall. That was the chant. So when your own base is demoralized, I promise you their base isn't demoralized. Oh, they hate this guy with the hot hate of 1,000 suns. I admit I'm worried about the midterms, and weirdly enough, what may save Trump is how insane the left is, i.e. the resistance. If they were smart, they'd read my book and they'd stop being insane.
Well, that's the book. Everyone else should go read it too. Resistance is Futile. And I've taken up too much of your time already, so I'll let you go. That is Resistance is Futile by my ex-girlfriend, Ann Coulter. She doesn't remember, but I'm sure I can jog her memory. Ann, thank you so much for being here.
Good to talk to you, Michael. Bye-bye.
Love her. Love her. So, and she's so right about this. And we need to defend Kavanaugh. We have to defend Kavanaugh. I hope that Republicans aren't getting squishy on this. I hope they're not thinking, oh, he's compromised. Oh, it's hard. And now let's just do a new one. Let's do a new. They're going to say that Amy Coney Barrett exposed herself to some girl at Yale in 1982. They'll do it to anybody. They'll do it to anybody. And I read this piece today in the Daily Beast. I wake up every morning, and the way that I rouse myself out of bed is I read some stupid left-wing piece. And so this one I read, it is, I'm a Republican, but Kavanaugh must withdraw his nomination. It's in the Daily Beast. It's by a woman named Sophia Nelson. I don't know if she's really a Republican. There are some people who say that they're Republicans, but they never vote Republican and they hate conservative ideas, like Jennifer Rubin and now at this point David Frum, we'll get to him later, and Anna Navarro, same thing. So I don't know, Sophia Nelson might be one of those. She said, quote, "This is a new day, but the party's leaders seem stuck in a past century." And her entire thesis is that, yeah, sure, maybe he didn't do any of this. And yeah, but they've already smeared him, so let's just move on. Because, some women have been sexually harassed by some people at some point, somewhere, someplace. So we can't have Kavanaugh. That's her actual thesis. It's the Democrats smear these guys, but because he got smeared, let's do someone else. It's a horrific argument. It's so wrong. Before I rouse you into your strong, necessary support for Brett Kavanaugh, I've got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. I'm sorry. We're going to analyze some fake hoax rape stories that have been going on as the hashtag #BelieveAllSurvivors goes around the country. But before we do that, go to dailywire.com. If you're already there, thank you very much. You keep the lights on. You keep Covfefe in my cup. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, you probably won't be there long. So go to Daily Wire. It's $10 a month, $100 for an annual membership. You get me. You get the Andrew Klavan Show. You usually get the Ben Shapiro Show, though you don't get it today because of the Jewish holidays. I was thinking, Ben must be thinking right now, of all the days to be Jewish, this news cycle was the roughest. What was I thinking, because there's a lot that we're going to have to cover. But usually you get Ben. You get to ask questions in the mailbag. That's coming up on Thursday, so get your mailbag questions in. You get to ask questions in the conversation. I believe the Lord of the Multiverse, Andrew Klavan, is up next. But none of that matters. Because you get this sweet, sweet vintage. That's an older vintage. I mean, that is an old vintage. That vintage has been around for a long time. That is the Dianne Feinstein blend, that varietal of leftist tears. And that's going to be even sweeter. I mean, it's already sweet. It's going to be even sweeter when we push this guy through. Nah, you can't stop us. It already tastes good, but it's going to taste even better then. So make sure you get your leftist tears by the time we do that. Go to dailywire.com. We'll be right back.